Hi, Jared. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm very excited to be here. It's great to see you.
We're excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining the show tonight.
Love being here. Thank you.
So I was telling people online right now why we're connected to you. You know, as the Oregon branch, we like to connect to other people that are doing like-minded work, and the work you're doing in the Miami area is so powerful, and would just love for you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how the Lucy Project came about.
Of course, Jared. Well, the Lucy Project started in my heart approximately 12 years ago when we had the honor of adopting our daughter, who nowadays is 12 years old. She was 3 months old back then, a happy and healthy baby. And as time, went by, we realized she was a happy and healthy baby, but have learning disabilities, amongst them dyslexia down the road. And when she received a diagnosis, they said it was so severe she might never learn how to read. And at that point, I simply could not accept that response. It was just, it's not an option. You are going to have to learn how to read. So whoever's telling me that, and I'm going to prove them. And I did a lot of research,
I love
educated
that.
myself, and realized that she could. And I can share with you right now that she just started 7th grade and she's reading at 9th grade level. So it can be done no matter how severe the dyslexia is.
That's awesome.
Um, Go ahead.
And well, I think what's so powerful about your story is it's your own journey, right, with your daughter and getting her to the education level which you knew she could be at. But then there is a whole other aspect to this thing where you recognize that this is bigger than just one individual family. Like you started to take it upon yourself to change your community and around you. And I just think that's so powerful and would love for you to share a little bit about that work.
Well, thank you, Jared. But it's pretty much like what you guys are doing. We're just trying to share the good. We realize we're very lucky. Lucinda has had every privilege and resource she could ever need or use, and she takes full advantage of it. But in the same time, I realize that most people do not have all those resources. And when I saw Lucinda, the success case she has become, I just started thinking about everyone else that does not get that. And that's when I said, you know what? It's not enough to think about it. You have to get up and do something. So I decided a foundation called the Lucy Project. And the mission is to help children with dyslexia in marginalized communities. But what it really comes down to is we go into school, if the child can't learn how to read, we don't care if they have dyslexia or not. We want to see him. We give the child, individualized daily reading remediation. And we do it 5 days a week until the child can read or gets to his grade level or whatever it takes. I want to give those children the resources I wish my daughter would have had from day one.
So then how does that work? Is it you and educators that have you built a team to go in and deploy into these schools, or how's the whole
Well,
process work?
Jared, it's honestly a labor of love. It's a bunch of volunteers all working very hard, and most of the people that I work with all have real daytime jobs. But everyone works after work, and we get it done. We put out a call on Facebook without, not no major post or anything. We just said, if you have a background in education or in psychology or something similar and would like to learn about Orton Gillingham, the structured literacy, the gold standard for dyslexia,
Yeah.
join our movement. We will be happy to pay for your certification. We will pay for the exams, for the practicum, and in return, we ask you to give us 160 hours, to give a school 160 hours of volunteer hours. So that's what we're doing. Our first cohort are 9 volunteers, and they have been trained 30 hours in IMSC comprehensive training. And now they're going to start the practicum, and we start teaching in 2 days. We're very
Oh my,
excited and nervous.
that's so exciting. What okay, so I gotta step back. So you're
Go ahead.
and for the people on the line, you have a daughter, Lucinda, diagnosed with dyslexia. You've developed a foundation, are going into schools teaching the Orton Gillingham method to students that need it, whether they have dyslexia or just other reading challenges. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
on the line and just joining us, we're talking to the CEO of the Lucy Project. So if you have questions, please just drop us a line. So do you have a vision of like what your ultimate goal for your community is? Like,
Well, the
where
goal
would
is
you
the
like to
same
see
one
things?
that I think that you have, and it's to get all kids to learn how to read. As simple as that. I don't care if you have dyslexia or not. You have the right. I think it is morally it's not optional to not teach a child how to read. You know, so I
Yeah.
think it's the same dream we all have. I just started this very small program, a lot of volunteer hours, a lot of volunteer work, and well, we know structured literacy works. That there's decades of research proving that. So now what we want to show is that when you offer the right services, all children can learn how to read. This is done in other schools, so we know we can do it too. But right now it's time to prove that the Lucy Project can do it, in particular during COVID, because we're doing all our tutoring virtual. In our first cohort, when we started interviewing people, we realized that we were getting resumes of people with degrees, advanced degrees in education, doctoral degrees, and I was like, they should be interviewing me, not me interviewing them. And here they are, and they want to volunteer, and they want to learn, and they want to help. So we're getting these people, and we're going to get them teaching in the classrooms starting this Wednesday. Super excited.
So exciting. I want to turn the conversation, because you and I have talked about this aspect before and we've met on several different occasions, but what happens if we don't do this work? This is what I think is a real, like what your organization is doing is not only changing the lives of these specific students that they're going to be working with, but they're changing the whole landscape of communities for years to come, because these kids are now having real opportunities. And I just want to know if you could share some of the...
Well, our hope is that these children, we know that children will learn how to read because we know it can be done. But I think what it's going to show is that if we go into one school and we can actually move the needle so much, then we can use this model and replicate it and just scale it. We can go into other schools. We received, when we placed the post asking if anyone wanted to volunteer, we received over 100 applications. And that was just a Facebook post. So we know that people are out there, they're hungry. It's just that it is expensive to get trained. And we want to offer that. And what I love is the idea is that our original volunteers from right now, in a year, we hope some of them will stay with us and continue volunteer. But if they don't, they have that knowledge, and they in turn will share it with who knows how many more people. I hope tens, if not children.
Right. No, I mean, it's really powerful stuff. I mean, we talk about it as a branch here in Oregon that reading is a human right, and
Yes.
we need to work towards that. And we've had the conversation that when these students are bright, they're capable, the reading challenge does not affect their IQ or their ability to be participants within the education system. But the way that our education system lies now, we're not bringing them to the table. We're not giving them a seat at the table. And that means they're going to have a seat somewhere else, whether that's in probably a spot where we don't want students going. So I just think what you're doing is just so valuable. And
Well, I just, perhaps because of the fact that we had the honor of adopting, I just think if my daughter had not been with us, if she were with parents that did not have the resources, the time, if the school had not, she'd not been diagnosed with dyslexia, what really worries me is that, she'd be in trouble at school because she wasn't getting good grades, and she'd be goofing off because you're going to find a way to, you're going to find your place in a healthy or unhealthy way. She'd be in trouble at home because she's not getting good grades and complaints from the school. But even worse, she'd be going to bed thinking she's dumb. And that really kills me, because these kids are bright. They're smart. They have so much to offer. I have no doubt in my mind. But it would have been a loss for my daughter and for society.
Yeah, incredible loss. So for people watching right now, what can people do to support the work you're doing in Miami? Like what are the needs? How can people get involved? I think people online would be really interested to see how they could support you and your great efforts, and just like, what are some of the things, like what are some of the needs that
Thank you, Jared. Well, we honestly have so many needs because we're so new, and we started during COVID. So the way I see it is it can only get easier. But we need Right now, for example, we're starting our tutoring and we don't have document cameras. We could use 9 document cameras donated. We could use a graphic designer to help us set up everything. We just got an accountant. We could use more teachers to volunteer time. We can use funds, and even just sharing about what we do in social media, helping us raise awareness. We'll take whatever we can.
All right. Well, so if you're listening, and I'm going to share this, I'm going to share this interview out to our community. And if you're in the Miami area, Lucy Project is changing the game with dyslexia education, and students that just have natural challenges reading. Like, they are really changing the game and putting students at the table so that they can have positive experiences in the classroom and go on to do great things. And so we want to fully support this mission. What advice do you have for parents that might be where you were 12 years ago and picking up the ball for the first time? Like, what advice do you have for them?
That they know that it's going to take a long, long time, and you're going to need all the time and all the energy and all the patience. I think the first thing you need to do the first thing you need is a diagnosis. If your child is not learning how to read like every other kid, or what it seems every other kid, the child needs to be tested. If the public school is fighting you, you have to learn how to fight back. You need to do whatever it takes to get your kid to have a psychoeducational evaluation. Because once you know what the child has, what the student, it's a diagnosis, you know. You can't get insulin before you know you have diabetes. It's the same thing. You need structured literacy, but you need to know what you have. That was the first thing. And then really educate yourself. Educate yourself. Speak to other parents. Call me up. I will help with whatever I can.
All right. Well, so if you're listening and you have a student and you have a challenge, reach out. You can always reach out to the Oregon branch. You now have the Lucy Project in Miami. So we're partnering up. We have this amazing connection with being from the 503 here in Portland, Oregon, to Miami and 305. So we're connecting the dots and trying to make it easier for the people going through it. Do you have any advice for educators that are working with these types of students? Like, I know you're obviously training people, but how about the people in the classroom that maybe don't have the resources or don't know about dyslexia? What, if they're tuning in, what could they be doing to help these students?
Well, that's a really hard question. But I will tell you, for one thing, if you are volunteering, we will pay for your certification. So reach out to the Lucy Project, apply with us, and we'll see if we can help you. Let's start with that. 2, I think that's 1. 2, I think there's different levels. 1, speak with your principal, speak with your ex-principal, speak with the people, the admins in the school, because really what needs to change is the school. And that is honestly our hope, that right now that we're teaching the students, but our hope is that the school will see how we can move the needle, and they'll want all their teachers trained in structured literacy. So I think if you can get the principal on your side, that would be amazing. But also there's a lot of free materials now on social media. Because of COVID, a lot of organizations have been able to start training online, which makes it less expensive. And they also offer a lot of free materials. So if you follow the IDA, the national level, or the chapters, there's always information there. And if you go to our website, there's an area where there's resources. You should follow all different organizations on social media, and they share a lot of information.
That's amazing. That's great. Yeah, I just want you to hear some of the things that people are saying. If you're people are just so impressed with your vision and the support and the way you're going and how powerful. This is great. Inspiring. Just so much positivity around the work that you're doing. So we want to thank you. And if people have questions, please drop us a line. And if not tonight, feel free to email out to the Lucy Project or the Oregon IDA branch, and we can help get you in contact. The rule of the show is the guest has the last word. What would you like people to know, or what message do you have to the world around what you're doing, or what we can all be doing here?
You know what? This is called the Lucy Project. It's really for every parent that's out there, because your parents had the Jared Project and they made sure they gave you everything you could. So I'm just asking everyone else to join this and honor your child, honor your children through this project, and help other kids learn how to read.
It's amazing and such an inspiring story that you lead. And we just want to thank you for taking the time on a Monday night to join us. I know it's late out on the East Coast and all the work that you're doing. So appreciate your time and the work you're doing.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate what you're doing, and thank you so much for having us.
Have a great day. We'll be in touch.
Okay, take care. Thank you.